Yes, we are live. So today we are having a link fest.
Yep. Right.
Let me share the screen first.
Yep. And Mayor, maybe you want to pick the first link to talk about?
Yeah, well, Anuraj was just mentioning it. I think it's a link that might even be after your spreadsheet. I mean, it's in the post just before it. Right.
All right.
Fake pixels. I don't know when you prepared your spreadsheet.
I finished it this afternoon, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this one. And obviously, this things that you post questions instead of predictions is more fun because predictions you have to wait a year in order to find out if they're right or wrong. But if you scroll down to machine identity, that one, yeah, I think this is where it starts becoming interesting for us because we're talking about robots and they really do have a machine identity. And all of these problems she's talking about are problems that we've, you know, been interested in. Um, how do you prove you're genuine from far away? How can you give a robot permission to do something? Here they talk about taking back permission, even though they've retried with network problems. But no, for us, even though the robot got stuck in a sandstorm, robots do physical changes in the world, which are often much more difficult to be undone. And then she also has a section on robotics without robots. Um, we're doing robotics with robots, but we're planning on using the robotics without robots as well.
Wait, I don't understand. What does that mean?
The all of the use of gazebo.
It's something related to simulation, it seems, what
Yeah,
it's aiming.
no, what she's saying, a lot of people have been saying that progress in robots doesn't depend so much on hardware, actuators and stuff like that, but much more on figuring out how to control them, and that you can do in a simulation. Now, I don't know, it seems like the world is not that simple and robotic hardware is not that good. So there's actually a lot to be done in hardware. Okay. But she's saying in order to collect data and in order to simulate data, let's make modular standardized robots and components. Okay. Which again are things that we have been talking about. Now, I skipped one at the beginning. Sorry. Scroll up to traces as a moat. We've been talking about robots learning and learning from their mistake, and she's going one more step further, like how do you log the mistakes? How do you use your mistakes in order to present yourself in a certain way? The robot. Now, again, this is for software agents. so maybe it's easy for them. Robots have a lot of physicality. And if you look at the previous paragraph before that, she's interested in the same issue as we are with issue of standards. Here she talks about how agents connect to capabilities, but we're interested in how do robots coordinate with other robots and get something from them. Now, I think our problems are much smaller. I don't know, does anybody have an estimate for how many robots we expect to see in the world? Let's say in 10 years.
I was thinking about the economics of that, and it seems to me that robots are going to cost at least an order of magnitude more than phones because they'll have at least as much processing power and cameras and stuff, but they'll have like way more expensive motors and the rest of the hardware. So I think one early data point is the Vision Pro. I think is 4,000 plus, and that's like I don't know, robotic grade, consumer robotic grade hardware. So I think that'll be the consumer home robotics market will be an order of magnitude less than phones just by cost. But industrial robotics don't need that kind of like fancy uh, high finish production. And they're going to be, I think, much cheaper than they are today. The Fanuc class of robots are like unnecessarily expensive, and a lot of people believe there the cost will go the other way. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. But
And
on the simulation point, the all the links I was reading the last month or two, it feels like the winds are blowing in the opposite direction. Like compared to a year or two ago, when a lot of people were really excited about uh, learning and simulation. They were talking about, driverless cars and Grand Theft Auto kind of training. Last couple of months, it feels like the winds are blowing more towards learning from real world data and then actually trying out the reinforcement learning in the real world because the learning is a lot more robust. So I'm seeing the pendulum swing the other way from what she's saying.
that's until you run out of data.
That's the point, that the simulation is closed, and even if it gives you infinite data, it's within the closed whatever has been modeled in the environment kind of data. Whereas even like a simple real environment, it is like infinitely rich. Like some of the commentary I was watching was stuff like unexpected things, like a good test for a humanoid robot is if it can pick something up off the floor. Apparently, that's an exceptionally difficult task for some real world reasons. So I'm thinking about like all the corner cases that you probably can't easily discover in simulation. Anyway, yeah, this is, I think, one of the big conversations going on.
Okay, so I disagree with you about the number of robots because I consider a Roomba to be a robot.
Well, is
And
self-driving car a robot?
yeah, but
Yeah.
self-driving cars are very expensive. So that's what Venkat said. He said we might have two phones per person, but you're not going to have two self-driving cars per person. You might have a 1/10 of a self-driving car per person.
So,
But
Well,
Roombas, I can
if
imagine, having more than one.
if the
Roomba
cost
like
of the car is the same as the current car, so
no,
like many,
no.
well, Tesla is providing self-driving car, I think like for 30,000, right? Uh,
I mean, this is a definitions and statistics question. I mean, there's obviously going to be a distribution with like, our tumbler scale $150 robots, things that look like basically smart appliances at the $800 mark. But really, I think
Yeah,
the middle of the distribution that people are excited about as providing the bulk of new capabilities, that doesn't really start till like 4 or 5,000, like generalized manipulation and things like that. So I would say the distribution is going to be, yes, $150 to like $100,000 or even $1 billion like a Mars rover. But the interesting peak of the distribution that I think most people would call robotics will probably be a few $1,000s. So I would say, yeah, minimum 2-3x multiple of a phone to be, otherwise it would just be smart appliances, I think. But yeah, let's bring up a couple more links first, and then maybe we can have like a more
So I
general
just want
discussion.
to throw out a number here, Venkatesh, because you're talking about complicated robots. We should talk about how much a slave used to go for, because that's really what we're talking about. A humanoid object that can tirelessly do humanoid sized tasks. Okay, and they used to cost, between $10,000 and $50,000.
That is a price point, yeah, price
Okay.
comparison.
Now, obviously, a football playing robot, if we compare it, not that, football players are slaves, but they have a contract and it can be sold and they have to follow it and so on. So let's call it indentured servants. That's much more. But the bulk is that kind of number, like a small car. People
I
are
think
not
this
going to.
deserves a yeah. I think this deserves either a full session or like a deep dive. So, and I think so much has happened in the last few months. It would be fun to sample at least 5, 6 links. So maybe we can like save the
Yeah.
cost
Okay.
discussion for a future session. But yeah, Eric, you want to
Okay.
pick the next one? Maybe we can do like 5 minutes per link. That way, let's see if we can get 6 or 7 links discussed. So maybe Eric can pick the next one.
Good idea.
Sure. The first, there is toward the top, there is something called Sunday.ai.
Sundays robots are interesting.
Mm.
What is it?
It's selected by the light
Yeah.
blue. Yes, just down. And so it's not about Sunday in particular, my comments, but still, we can just have a quick look. Because you see, it's a humanoid-like, but the base is more like a Roomba, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't see. Okay. And so, since the Roomba is already accepted in many places, and there's problems with carpets and stuff like that. Okay, but it's several designs have solved those problems. Okay, so anyway, this Sunday the .ai is just I don't know how good it is. Okay, the website is really nice and it looks more marketing than anything else. Okay, but anyway, what is interesting for me is what we are talking about. With cryptobotics. Okay, but I wonder whether there is not here a use case. And during a discussion, what an idea came to me that there are many people, not necessarily super wealthy people, who hire a housemaid,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and these housemaids, okay, they come to your home, okay, and they help with the laundry or whatever, okay, and they go out, okay. And the thing is that they are a what's interesting for me with this particular case that such kind of robots with the cryptobotics could have a similar integration in people's life, basically. And what came to my mind is, yeah, but with such kind of robot, it's like with Alexa and such kind of stuff. It's like there is a problem of data privacy, okay, of spying on people. But the thing that people do even today, I think people do have a housemate, right? Okay. So it's not a problem to have an external entity, whether human or robot, coming in to do some work. And I wonder whether by using cryptobotics, that there is not something here to achieve, basically.
But if
I,
you have this DGX Spark, NVIDIA DGX Sparks, the small desktop $3,000 computer, I think all this should be possible on that, right? You don't need to connect to an outside server to do uh, these tasks. I think you can do this at home. Like it will cost a lot.
but yeah, it's because of the cost that I think, personally, we just talked about the cost. I don't have much comment at this point, but I'm having a hard time to see robotic scale. Okay. that links to mining, to copper. You see now there are some copper big names like Rio, Tito, if there's names like that, who are merging into electrification, and all that require a lot of resource. So I'm having a hard time to see current robotics. Okay, maybe materials can bring some new ideas, of course, but I'm having a hard time this to scale anytime soon, basically. Okay,
Well,
and so yeah.
I can't find the link, but I read somewhere and the guy was saying robots are not yet safe enough to let loose in your house. Okay,
Oh
they
yeah,
can't.
yes. Several
It's
people,
not
several people say that.
smash
Yeah.
everything. So
On sorry, please.
neither can cleaning maids. Okay, so the question is, what right now, if you have a Roomba, it is very limited in what it can do, and also the types of damage it can do.
Sure.
Obviously, if you have a dog, a combination of Roomba and a dog pooping somewhere can be awful, but it's still rather limited. But if you have this kind of robots that can walk around and smash things and pull things out and close them, the amount of damage they can do is rather unlimited.
So yes, but here it seems to me there is some kind of evolution still, because this is why I'm interested in this Sunday form factor. Is because it's base. The base is a Roomba. It's not a walking humanoid. Okay, it's
Yeah, but
just
it
a
has arms.
torso. Yeah. No, oh, sure. It can still do a lot of damage, but I think much less than a humanoid. A few weeks
Why do
back,
you say
there
that?
was. Because look, a few weeks back on LinkedIn, there was Will Jackson. Okay, he's a roboticist.
Mhm.
I don't remember the name of his company. He created a company maybe a couple of years ago. Okay, and he was commenting on a humanoid, because some people were saying, "Oh, our new humanoid is only 35 kilo and so on." Okay, and his remark was a bit completely sarcastic. You say, "Okay, now imagine a 35 kilo robot falling down the stairs of your home,
Yeah,
and your child is in the stairs."
right.
Okay, so such kind of weird story. Okay, which is not an edge case. Okay, um, so that's the thing, is that a Roomba base is, I think, ultimately much more stable. The gravity center is very low. Okay, and it's not going to fall like a humanoid robot will fall. In that sense, it's safer. But is it enough safer if we quantify on a single metric? No. Okay. But
So
still.
look what you just did. What you just said now is, in order to solve one safety problem with a robot, I'm changing the form factor a lot.
Mhm.
And that leads to the question, is the form factor which is overall safe in the house? Let's talk about safety for pets, safety for people, and safety for your belongings. So falling down the steps is one problem, and smashing your china is another problem.
Mhm. Yes, but there is already a whole category. I think the proof of that is Roomba itself. Okay, I mean, people have accepted a robot in their home with Roomba. Okay, and the reason for that is because when Roomba bumps into your foot, it's not painful or hardly painful. Okay, it's something we reviewed, I think, a couple of years ago. With the new robot concept. Okay, that is made of cheap plastic. It's light. Okay, um, by cheap, I don't necessarily mean bad plastic. Okay, it's okay. And so this is where I think the form factor really matters. Okay, and has inherent value. Okay? Enough? No, definitely not. And what you say, May, I totally agree. Is that there is a bug in the algorithm? No, not if. There is a bug in the algorithm that controls the manipulators, and boom, they will break glasses and so on. Sure. Okay. For me, I was more looking to the assuming enough is solved on the safety side, is that the integration with cryptobotics looks like an interesting use case because there are already several people having a housemaid. Okay, that was
So how does
my only remark.
robotics help with the housemaid business? Is it a matter
Sorry?
of secrecy that people shouldn't know what's happening in my house?
But the thing that with the cryptobotics, okay, and let's say we have the audit, okay, that we for my home, if I want to rent such kind of robot, to come, I don't know, every Friday morning, let's say, okay, there is a whole infrastructure that is
Yeah.
required for that robot to come, okay, and so because of this physical infrastructure and the audit through typically crypto, okay, I think there is enough physical and legal infrastructure to provide some guarantees that provide enough confidence in the user that is something useful. I'm not talking about the economics here. Huh? It's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not enough. Okay?
It feels to me like cryptobotics would be more like a kind of an infrastructure that enables uh, interaction, like between different robots, or like a fleet management. If you want to do like a hard guarantees that something will be done, then you could have some sort of cryptographic primitives used there, and the infrastructure is what like cryptographics would provide.
Mhm. It does sound compatible though, okay? Because it seems, Anuraj, what you propose is more like maybe on the industrial or professional use case, while I'm talking more about the individual use case. Okay, but here,
Yeah.
if a robot like that comes to my home, everything you said, I think, is still valid for me, from my point of view, even if I don't use those words. Okay. And for example, I don't want this robot to maybe I want this robot to be able to interact with my Roomba so that they don't bump into each other and stuff like that. I don't know. Okay. Such kind of scenario.
So I think I'll take the other end of this prediction as well. I don't think safety is that important, or that the robots dangerous falling down the stairs scenario part of the space is going to be big enough that it'll stop people from using the most capable robot that they can afford. Because Roomba, I mean, it's uh, honestly, I don't even consider it a robot anymore, given how much the center of gravity of the distribution has moved. I mean, you look at all the demos just in the last 2 months, that makes me excited to have one of those robots and not just a Roomba plus plus. So I think the limiting factor will be cost, and safety will get solved in two ways. One is, I think you can actually engineer it to be actually, it'll be like driverless cars. Initially people will think there's no way it can be safer than humans driving, and now statistics show that even though driverless cars fail in weirder ways that we don't get used to, they're ultimately safer in terms of number of accidents they cost. So I think we'll get used to new safety standards with higher capability robots, and we might use things like cryptobotics to implement basically Asimov's three laws type stuff. Like, 2-year-old child is in the child's nursery room, and the robot is not allowed to go there. And if you want to like define a guardrail, maybe you define the guardrail with like a crypto pass kind of system, because Roomba right now has a very simple, I think, perimeter definition type approach, and you can have very sophisticated and fine-grained hard controls if you use crypto. So, anyway, I would say uh, if you look at the high end of humanoids compared to this Roomba plus plus type robot, this I would estimate costs maybe a couple of $1,000s at most. Uh, but the ones at CES, they probably are in the 80 to 100K range at the moment, because if you think about how to price it out, a Tesla has between 2 to 4 like of the new powerful motors, and no gear train and stuff. But these robots, they have 4 or 5 such powerful modern motors, plus they have complex gear trains in the arms and stuff to like do the reduction. So I would say they're going to be at least as expensive as cars. But people will get the most capable ones they can, and they will be made safe, I think. But looks like we have divergence on both the first two links we saw. Yeah, Anuraj, you want to pick the next one?
Yeah, I don't know if you have that in the, but I'll pick this one. the tumbler like uh, robot. So I'm in touch with this guy who is building this. So they are based in London. So their goal is basically to make a tabletop game with robots, and it's kind of the robot is basically like Tumblr, a little bit of advanced Tumblr. So even the architecture is similar to what we have right now. So it has a ESP32 and like motor controller with for BLDC, and yeah, it seems to be a lot of fun game. And then it has a lot of also has a crypto chip that can generate like private keys and make it keep it securely inside hardware separate from the main ESP32. So like this could
How much do
directly
these
be used.
cost? Do you know
uh,
how much they cost?
no, they are planning a Kickstarter. So right now, if you want to join the early Kickstarter, so you can pay like $1, and they would send you an early bird something. I don't know. You maybe they are. I think they are targeting like 150 or something. $150. Yeah,
So
and
it's a kind of robot that you watch it play, or you tell it
no,
what to
no,
do,
you
but you
play
don't
with
touch
it. So well, if you program it with an agent, you can watch it play. But
it.
it works with a joystick like the PlayStation or Xbox joysticks. It basically runs with that, and then like the guy was saying something like it could have some sort of like a cryptographic program like guarantee that uh, when they are like bumping into each other, you have to make the other one fall down. And like when the one of the robot has fell down, it would like guarantee that like the other robot has won, and then go to some server. The pointing system, the point system on the server would like basically register that, and then he's planning some games like that. And then this the this doesn't show the tabletop uh, things, so it fits on your dining table, and then they
Hmm.
have some small walls which you can have like a small arena on it, and then you can like drive around. You can have racing games. You can have like a sumo wrestling game. So different types of games with this. It seems a lot of fun. Like I've seen
But
some of the videos on YouTube, and then they are playing with all these on tabletops, and it seems a lot of fun to play this. So this is like one of the applications that would be like I think coming up.
I'll say again, you don't touch the robot. It's not a toy that you touch and lift up and bend.
No.
Well, do you think adults prefer toys that they touch, the toys that they control with a joystick?
Uh, well, I think like teleoperation and like you can do a lot of stuff without touching, right? So basically, you can you have
Yeah,
seen
we have
the
television.
Robo Wars in on TV. So you could have like a fun version of it at home.
I think those are two different categories of games. There's already a huge booming RC car and Robo Wars type market. That's for people who want the feel of controlling it with a remote control. Um, for people who want to like construct and build, that's one kind of touching at like the building stage. But I'm not sure what you mean by touching it in the playing stage. Do you mean like just a local remote control or like actually physically
No,
interacting
I
with the
mean
robot?
with my hands.
Like, give me an
Let's
example. What
compare
would you
three
do?
different. I'll give you three examples. Example number one, I have a remote control car and I control it with the joystick. Example number two, I hold the car in my hand and I move it around. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Example number three, I put on a VR helmet, let's say Apple Vision, and it's as if I'm sitting inside the car. Okay, each one of these is very different type of interaction with a toy. And children, maybe because their toys are so cheap, that's a very cool picture. Um, because their toys are so cheap, have to do the second one where they hold it in the hand and move around. And then when they grow up a bit, they can play computer games or remote control drones or whatever with a joystick. And then when Apple gives us these toys, so they can sit inside and have a VR experience. But I don't know if it's a scale. I think it's different ways of play interaction. Here we're looking at a fourth one, maybe. These robots were programmed and now they're playing it out and we're just watching. I mean, I see she has a remote control, but we could just be
Yeah, so
watching.
yeah, so this could be made into an autonomous thing too.
Right. So it's different kinds of games, and I'm wondering if these games, one of them takes over, or it's different situations. But what I am missing is robots that you actually touch, that you hold them in your hand, and don't ask me why, because I haven't seen any like that.
For kids, this would be a lot of fun, right? Like even if you are not having it like a remote controlled one, and if they can just play with, because like small kids like playing with cars and small trucks, like it would be something similar but with more autonomy.
Yeah. So where do you think it's going?
I don't
More
know. So these
autonomy,
games are
more
coming.
control, more
Like
embedded?
I'm already on the waiting list, so I'm sure there would be lots of people like me.
I'll just give you an example. When I took my spider and tumblers and let my grandkids interact with them, at 2 or 3 years of age, it was a very physical interaction. So either because they wanted to touch it, or because it walked at them, so they walked away. They walked towards the robot's walking away. So it's much more physically interacting with the robot. So I'm just wondering if that goes away as we get older and we get this type of game or not.
I think
Maybe.
those are simpler and cheaper kinds of toys that smaller kids will like. But I think by the time kids are in their teenage and definitely by the time you're adult, the thing people most want to use this stuff for is stuff like, it's a camera that can go places that you can't. Like if you look at what people who buy hobbyist drones do, I would say 80+% of it is basically as a flying camera that can take videos and photos that you can't. Maybe a small percentage do other things like, I don't know, stunt flying or other things, but most people do it just as, photography plus plus, something like that. So here I think it will be actually kind of similar because these may look like toys, but compared to like toys from a generation ago, they have way more processing intelligence and video. So I think teenagers and above will be using them mainly as like video exploration rovers that can go places they cannot. And I think the one thing that'll change is uh, this currently looks just like a tumbler, but I think for it to get truly interesting, it needs a manipulator arm because people will want to like see things, but also like manipulate them. Like, there's a small duct or something where nobody can crawl. You send a robot in there and maybe you find something and pick it up and bring it back outside. That type of use case, I think, is kind of where this might
Oh,
go.
are you
Otherwise, you can
talking
do this
about?
much more cheaply. If you're just like playing around, Legos will do. Why do you have big processing and camera there to be used, right?
Well, today we have smart bricks. Who knows what they have inside? But uh, are you basically saying that the future of robotic toys is in shared VR for robots?
Shared
No,
Like
what I was saying.
Pokemon Go?
So this is their early
Yeah.
prototype. It was much bigger than the toy. So initially they started with bigger ones, and then for the toy form factor, they actually shrinked it. So this can work at any scale. You just need like the proper motor drivers and the powerful motors, and then you can also place a manipulator arm on top of it if you need.
Hmm.
Right. I highlighted one link on the spreadsheet. I think actually Eric found this. It's the Tinker AI. That seems like an interesting social network for robotics hobbyists kind of thing. You might have to go to the main URL. There's some sort of login thing.
Which one?
Just get rid of all the other crud and just go to tinker.ai. Yeah. Where did you find this, Eric? I think you're the one who posted this, right?
If it was me, it was quite a few weeks ago at least. Huh?
It was somewhere in the in that.
It was in December, I think. Yeah. December.
The December. But yeah, this looks like it almost looks like a hugging face for robotics or something, where people can share their designs to mix and match, and other people can contribute to each other's projects, something like that.
So what is this? You share the hardware or do you share the software? What do you
I
share?
haven't yet had time to explore. It just looked
Okay.
interesting. If you
But it's a platform anyway, right?
if you click the getting started, I'm looking now.
I think they pitch themselves as the GitHub for robotics, basically.
Yes, that's what it looks like. If you go to explore, you'll see searching. There's a way to search projects of all sorts. We can put our own project here, I think. Yakasor.
So it's like EV is also here. This is like a mechanism plus robotic arm.
So this thing really interests me because I think one of the interesting splits we are seeing is all the fancy demos and big companies that we're seeing at CES type events. They are like beyond us. They're spending way too much money and research, and the hardware is very highly capable. So I think there's going to be a second kind of like maker scene emerging around, I don't know, sub $2,000 robots that are mainly amateur, artisan, individually built, not like Atlas or the Unitary type robots. So for that kind, I think the interesting thing will be there'll be a lot more variety and creativity. It'll be more like an art scene than a industrial scene. So I'm kind of interested to see where this kind of thing goes. So that's why I shared this. I brought up this link because I think because we belong here. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just post what we are doing for Tumblr or like Yakasor too here.
So it's not obvious to me that this is the right way to organize the community. It looks like too much of a corporate paid platform. Like it's not open source or anything as far as I can tell. Oh, and if you scroll down, there's a banner of organizations that use this. It includes Stanford Robotics and other like major orgs as well. So not quite sure. This is like in the right direction, but almost too polished and corporate feeling.
Yes.
So grungy robotics.
Yeah, I would like a grungier version of this kind of thing. Also more decentralized. This feels like I don't know, sponsored by NVIDIA type of platform. Yeah, we probably have time for a couple more links. So Maya, your turn again if you want to pick another link to discuss.
Yes. There's a bird. Just a second.
Yes,
I'll tell you.
saw that. I think there was bionic something, right?
Yeah, it's the ACTU dot.
Which one?
I'm saying it's just a second, so difficult to whatever. ACTU dot.
Ah, okay. This one, the EPFL one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked it too.
So I like it, and then I ask myself, as a person, I like it, but what about as an engineer? And in the link we just looked at a second ago, it starts off by showing you a very complicated robotic arm with like 10,000 parts in it, you know, all moving in coordination. So I'm looking at this robot and I'm saying, yeah, they definitely managed to do it like a bird. And I'm asking myself, is that what robots should look like? I'm not talking about having a lot of extra hardware just in order to get one function. I'm talking in general, the level of complexity of moving parts when you look at a robot appears to be quite high. If you compare to Roomba, Roombas are simple. Okay, the mechanics are intelligently minimized, and most of it has to do with the cleaning, not with the moving around. In this example, the bird-inspired drone, most of the mechanics have to do with moving around, not with performing any particular function. It has no function, and that mechanics are complicated. And I was just wondering, and humanoid robots often have similar problem about this direction of making robots that are as simple as possible, because we can avoid a lot of the needs and still provide the minimum functionality. So I was wondering what you people think of it.
I don't know, like commercially how viable this is, right? This is all like fun artistic stuff. So yeah, somebody has to sponsor it, but wide scale adoption, why I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, any practical function that the hopping bird robot can do, a drone, like, standard quad drone could probably do cheaper, better, and more robustly. But maybe there's some corner cases. In this case, I don't see a direct practical thing. But if you take the other one you mentioned, a hand is probably the most complicated robotic thing that people are trying to build now. And there, yeah, there are dexterous manipulation functions that need almost 100% fidelity to what the human hand does in order to pull it off. Like, there were some demos at CES that were really impressive. And related to that, there's another problem, which is the dexterity of human hands and then the grip strength of human hands. It's kind of hard to get both in one robotic hand. So I saw a couple of like hybrid looking things where they use like strong grippers for, like, lifting 20-pound box or something, but for fine manipulation like surgery or something, they use more of a dexterity hand. So right now I think dexterity and hand strength have independently been solved, but together in a human
Exactly.
equivalent way, they haven't been. Yeah.
But like even do animals solve it together? You always optimize for something, right? So
Well,
like
Yeah,
so individual, like we are like generals, but like for example in humans generally people who are like really strong might not have the best dexterity, right?
but compared to all other animals and all robots, we are like on both, we are way off on those two dimensions. And a lot of people think that that's actually a big, feedback loop for intelligence. Like, I think we've talked about this before. If you
Yeah.
map the brain in terms of how much neural complexity there is based on the part of the skin you're looking at, the hands map to, so it's called the cortical homunculus. I think I mentioned this before.
Yes.
So yeah, the hands are like a huge portion of the neocortex. Um, and yeah, I think humans do push the strength plus dexterity limit quite far. and because of that, we kind of have like dominant capabilities over most other species. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, I also think it's also in general a fine thing to just make cool robots, even if you don't have a particular function for them, because I think eventually that yeah, exploring the full design space, it eventually pays off in like more general ways. Like, there's so many different form factors in nature. I think robotics should have as many form factors as robots as nature does for like long-term future. Anyway, yeah.
So
Sorry, Mike.
I want to answer Anuraj's question about optimization. If you have a bird, it has to work, it has to fix itself. Forget about the constraints of evolution. But look at a different example. Look at plants and look at mechanisms that plants use to spread their seeds. There you find something really simple. Either you have something that floats or something that flies, even if you have something that shoots, okay? There's a mechanical structure is much more straightforward, perhaps because it only has to be used once. And robots don't have to self-repair, not yet. So I'm just wondering if we did have
Well,
a robot that wanted to have a leg takeoff and landing, um, would it be much simpler than this complicated design? This is like a bird,
like regarding the plant thing, plants also use other animals, right, for their
right?
pollination. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. So you'd expect robots to push off some of the complexity onto other robots.
But then is that really a robot, right? So it's like
Why
plants
not?
and animals are different species.
I, I offload some of the work on you, and I still feel human, don't I?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. We talk about robots working together. We talk about them hiring the services of each other, but we never talked about something as sophisticated as what you just said, where an entire function of the plant, pollination, is offloaded onto birds, and therefore the plant can be made much simpler. Okay, we don't talk about things like that. Imagine if we take Venkatesh's home cleaning robot. Okay, how does it get from your house to my house? Well, obviously it goes in a self-driving car, right? So there's some functions that it needs in order to do what it's meant to do, which the robot is never designed to do, but rather designed to take advantage of other robots. And I wonder how it works inside the house. Imagine that this cleaning robot, in order to clean the floor, has its own Roomba. Okay, so it doesn't need to have the dexterity of sweeping the floor.
I think we have time for maybe one more link. So, Eric, your
Sure.
turn.
In the list, there is Gitai. It's the company that
Yeah. Yeah.
we mentioned a few times. And
Yeah.
by reviewing their website, first, their front page is quite impressive. If we can show it, I can do it if you prefer. No? When you see the video that
Hey,
plays in the background is does it play? Yes. It's quite impressive. It looks very simple, but so Gita is a hardware company, right? So they do these arms that are space ready. Okay, so not exactly sure what it means, but radiation.
I don't think they do much more than arms, right? So they have like a platform. So their
That's not what
goal
I
is
said. They do hardware.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Yes, and the thing is that they started with the arms only. Okay, but on the spacecraft and components, the menu on the top, you also have a lunar rover that is
Yeah.
quite interesting because recently we've seen the people from the Moonboat project. So Gitai is a Japanese company. Okay, what I didn't
Yeah.
know is that now they say proudly made in America. By the way,
They moved
so I
to
thought,
LA.
yeah. Mm. And so uh, interesting to compare these to what we've seen for the Moonboat. Okay, because they have different approach, still quite similar goals because we can see this lunar rover doing some assembly for the solar panels, right? Okay.
Yeah, I
And
think.
the Moonboat was initially a project to have robots collaboratively build buildings basically. Okay?
Yeah, I've been following these guys since they started.
Hmm.
Interesting work they do.
Yeah, they've been
Wow.
the founder, okay, so a young Japanese engineer, is really passionate about all that. I forgot his name. Okay? And I mean, just out of the university, so he created a company. Um, and He really focused, really high quality. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, they went. His first robot went to the Japanese module called Kibo on the Kibo means hope. Okay, on the International Space Station. Okay? Yeah, the Japanese module. I think the robot arm was mounted there as as an early success for the company. So they have a reputation of very high quality hardware. So what
Wow.
I don't know at all, however, is about the control side, okay? All the software and so on. Okay? It works, so it means the software is also active. But after that, I don't know the capabilities. About the autonomy and stuff like that. Okay, something perhaps interesting to look into.
This is another
Yeah,
one
this
of
is the
the.
one I
Ah,
like.
yeah, yeah, that one also is impressive. Huh?
That's very
It's really
cool the way it
modular.
disconnects and operates things. Yeah, but watch another minute here. It's very interesting what it does.
But is this a render or a real uh, video?
We can't know anymore.
So this is simulation, right? Is this?
It seems like some sort of simulation or render, video render.
Yeah.
Watch it disconnected, so now it's not a ring anymore,
I think they
and
do
it
have a real
closes the
one too. I saw
manipulator.
some video in a warehouse where it's acting like a pallet moving thing. So I think they do have real robots too, not just renders.
It could be, but that's a rendering. The industrial place with the doors so clean. Wow.
So it's very interesting because here again, we talked about form factor earlier. Here also the form factor is very interesting because this a bit strange shape can do so many things in the end. Okay, we saw maybe last year, maybe Hyundai having a robot with wheels and legs. Okay, um, it's interesting on how to explore a bit exotic forms, right? What they enact actually. Okay, um, sometimes just by simplifying the range of problems they can tackle, right?
Yeah. Okay, this is.
There was another fun factor we I saw in the thread about a boa, like a snake-like fun factor. think it's not the first one we've seen over the years. Yeah, there are a couple of ones, we put them in tubes, to investigate for leaks and so on. We saw one or 2 years ago. Okay? So the boa form factor also is quite interesting. It's
What
funny
is it?
again that how we link it to nature, right? I think the link is in the page, right? Something boa.
Yeah, I
Aroboa.
think I remember seeing that as well.
This
Yeah.
one.
Ah, yes. This one is apparently a new one, but there was one that we reviewed 1 or 2 years ago. Okay, that was modular, made of spheres that they can put together.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the robot space, having really, really a lot onto the humanoid, probably because of human interactions or something like that. Okay, but also all the range that can be covered by uh, the Alu or the Loboa kind of form factors, right? Or the
Uh,
Sunday as well. Yeah?
I think humanoids, one reason they're exploding is there's a lot of training data available because humanoids, because they mimic the human form, they can very easily learn from video. And now, the last couple of months, a bunch of training models have come up. Where if you, I don't know if you guys saw this, it's not in the spreadsheet, but I saw a video of like a Chinese factory where the assembly line workers have cameras attached to their wrists. So as they're like doing their assembly work, it's picking up training data, and now the training data is or training protocols are flexible enough that they can just take that video and transform it and turn it into robot training. Same thing with any kind of arbitrary human motion video, it can be used for training. But yeah, I think there's a lot of humanoid action because of basically that factor, plus, I don't know, the cool factor. But I did see quite a few videos from CES that were also more wheeled vehicles. Like I saw a couple where the wheels kind of like turn and twist in interesting ways. So yeah, I wouldn't say humanoids are monopolizing the form factors. More are coming. I would say, yeah, overall, there's more humanoids, but there's also more other forms as well. Both are increasing, but number of humanoid companies are increasing a lot.
So
There's,
do you see a limiting factor for humanoid robots? Because look, we've been looking at self-driving cars, and I think for many reasons, self-driving cars may be simpler robots than humanoid robots. Yes, okay, seems to me, huh? And yet, after major investment, major players in self-driving cars, they don't seem to come about so easily, right, in the real world. Okay, um, it's very limited still, very limited deployment, right?
I
And
think
so when I
deployment
think
would
about humanoid
be
robots, hmm?
like deployment would start with factories. I think it's like
also,
easier
this
to
is very
control.
new. I mean, this the leaps and advances are in the last year or so. Like Boston Dynamics moved to motors from hydraulics only in the last couple of years. And if you look at their latest humanoid, they're doing interesting things like they can mimic human motions, but where they can take advantage of their different rotary joints, they also do weird zombie like movements. So
Hmm.
I think this is new enough that they're still figuring it out. Yeah. And I think give it 2 3 years, I think humanoids will be practical, but it's not either or. I think you'll see a high end of humanoid form factors, non-humanoid, also low end of like the cheap and plasticky ones. I think all of those, it's like nature, right? You have like all types of creatures in every possible niche, right? There are small cats, big cats, there are plants with simple flying seeds, as well as like birds that fly in complex ways. So I think the whole design space is going to get filled out. That's at least my thinking here. And in the past, you're right that in the past progress has been slow, but I think because a few bottlenecks hadn't yet been broken. I think one got broken a few years ago. That was the high power magnetic motors. Another seems to have gotten broken in the last few months, which is the VLA training models, which look much more capable than previous ones. Oh, and there's an open source humanoid project somewhere on the spreadsheet, which is also interesting because
Yeah.
humanoids is one thing that's complex enough. I would expect vertically integrated big companies to dominate it. But there was one open source humanoid project somewhere. But yeah, looks like we're a few minutes over, and I thought, yeah, we should maybe keep this spreadsheet and maybe do this once every couple of months since things are moving fast. So I'll create another tab for maybe March 14th, and we can start dumping links there. But also, I made another tab called Deep Dive Topics. Mayor, I put your topic of like number and cost of robots as like potential deep dive topics. So if anything from these link from this linked list feels like a deep dive topic, let's put it in here and go through them on free sessions. Like I
I
think,
think the
yeah,
question of I think the question of humanoid robots, is it an artifact or the way to go, and how long will it be, and so on. I think that is a very important topic.
yeah, that should go on the deep dive list definitely. So humanoid sessions.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, the reason I thought we should start collecting links properly in a spreadsheet and not X links, but whatever they point to, is because now we can just dump this list of links in, ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to write like a strategy report of the industry for us because they're not the ones that Eric found are not very good. Bless you. Yeah, the ones that Eric
Yep.
found, the strategy reports, I think they're weak. So if we collect these links and dump them, maybe we can have our own strategy advisor for robotics. And X links are no good because I think X is now blocking all LLMs other than Grok from doing much with their links. So
Right.
we should capture original links and dump them into our own. I don't know what to use for this. What's a good way to process? This is already 50 links. Like, how would we process dumps like this?
Uh, well, you can write a Python script that basically and use Claude with Playwright to scrape the text on this content, and then Claude can summarize it. Like you can make a bot for this.
Yeah, I think it's worth doing because things are now moving. I think 10x faster than when we started this project. So, not that we should keep up with the fire hose for the sake of it. It's not FOMO, but I think it's good to like keep track and like pick out interesting things to think about.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can build something. So I have like a $100 plan on Claude until the end of this month. I can like build as many things as I want. Okay, I think we are almost 10 minutes past.
Okay.
Okay, see you next week.
Yep.
See you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. See you guys. Bye.